The understanding the Camp David negotiation, we have to go back to the actually the 1993 Oslo Accord, where actually Yitzhak Rabin, the late Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, made a very dramatic procedural decision, which is to recognize PLO and Arafat as the sole representative of the Palestinian people and sit and talk with them. The Oslo Declaration of Principle was, from a professional point of view, it was nothing than a process agreement. It was a process agreement. There was nothing substantial in the process, in this Oslo, but it was a significant breakthrough because for the first time, both the PLO and Israel understood that they are the partners, that they are the negotiating partners. Follow that 1993 Declaration of Principle, we enter into intensive negotiations with the Palestinians that ended up with the interim agreement in 95. Through Gaza and Jericho, this is the interim steps. The idea, and this is what people not necessarily know, the idea, the principal idea behind the interim agreement was not significantly different than the annex that Menachem Begin signed in Camp David 78. So it is a framework that says there will be an interim period, self-governance in the Camp David Menachem Begin 78 words, self-governance and autonomy, and interim agreement in the sense of the establishing the Palestinian Authority in the 1995 interim agreement, but neither in Camp David 78, Israel-Egypt, nor in interim agreement or Oslo process, there was no clear agreement what should be the end game. The Palestinian statehood was neither mentioned in the Camp David Accord nor in the interim agreement in the Oslo process, which means that both parties understood the complexities and entered into this phase negotiations. The implementation of the Oslo process was derailed with the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin and Netanyahu's first term. Netanyahu implemented some of the steps. He signed the Y River Memorandum. He implemented the Hebron Agreement. However, relationships soared between Israel and the PLO at that time. And when Barak came to power in '99 and we went to the Camp David, it was actually the first time that permanent status issues, what's the end game, first time that these things were put on the table, officially. Because 1995, Beilin Abu Mazen signed the Beilin Abu Mazen agreement that actually provided a framework that Yitzhak Rabin rejected. Yitzhak Rabin rejected it. He didn't want to sign on it. He was murdered 2 months or 1 month after he was presented with the Beilin Abu Mazen. And then we go to Camp David 2000 with some sort of track 2 document in the back of the mind of the negotiators, which neither Barak nor Arafat accepted or agreed to it. Also, the Americans didn't use it, and this was one of my questions to the Americans at a later post-mortem analysis. Why didn't you welcome the parties entering Camp David with this Beilin Abu Mazen, say, okay, here is a draft proposal. Now make your comments. There are many reasons why Americans didn't do it. The main issue was that in Camp David, we discussed the issue of territories, the borders of Palestine, the issue of refugees, security arrangements, Jerusalem was discussed. Actually, the courageous thing that Ehud Barak did as a prime minister, that he put everything on the table. The process that started at Camp David ended up in Taba, 2001. And the amazing thing regarding to the negotiation is that the Palestinians were offered in Taba such a comprehensive deal. 96% of the West Bank with land swap, and really it was a good opportunity to establish State of Palestine. The Jewish people back in 48 accepted or said yes to a much worse offer. One of my arguments with my Palestinian colleagues, they show a map that is called Shrinking Palestine, how Palestine, and I smile, I tell them, you present this map to show Israel colonialism, Israel imperialism, Israel expansion. Why I can read this map as the Palestinian missed opportunities. You missed this opportunity in 1937, you missed an opportunity in 47, you missed opportunity in 67, you missed opportunity in 2000. Why can't you take what is offered and do the Ben-Gurion action and actually say, yes, let's start establishing State of Palestine, get rid of the occupation on 97% of the West Bank, occupation according to their perspective, build up your own state, your own institutions, and if you do have a border dispute with Israel, let's settle it the way US and Canada have their own border disputes. There are plenty, hundreds of border disputes worldwide. Why you choose to continue the current, why you choose this all or nothing approach? This is not a pragmatic Zionist. In one of the debates with one of my Palestinian colleagues, I said, you know, you think that the land was taken from you. I have no intention as a negotiator to negotiate narratives. We cannot negotiate narratives. Okay, but practically, pragmatically, what's the reason not to take a 97% offer, say, I put it in my pocket, now let's negotiate the rest? The only explanation I give to that is that you don't really want to have a Palestinian state. You love the underdog position. You love the political propaganda that you do all over the world, trying to what? End the occupation. You had an offer ending the occupation. And you know something, not only in Taba 2001, when I personally handed up the map to Saeb Erekat. In 2008, Ehud Olmert, not Ehud Barak, Ehud Olmert with Abu Mazen went through almost the same process. You could have said that Arafat didn't believe Ehud Barak. Ehud Barak was a failed prime minister that lost his coalition. But in 2008, Abu Mazen and Ehud Olmert conducted dozens of personal one-on-one meetings. Level of trust between these two individuals was dramatically better than Barak and Arafat. And still, Abu Mazen said no to an offer including division of Jerusalem that Ehud Barak didn't even dare to put on the table. And Ehud Olmert, who was the mayor of Jerusalem, there was a complete plan of division of Jerusalem, agreement on the framework agreement regarding the refugees, handing territories to Palestine, 100% with a border land swap, and Abu Mazen said no. The narrative is that they didn't trust Olmert will be able to pass and it was not enough, they wanted more. I heard their part of the story, but I never heard an explanation that actually deals with the question negotiation-wise. Negotiation-wise, you submit claims for 100% of the debt. You get an offer of 97% of the debt. You said no. You said no because what? Because the alternative is better? Because continue to fight in court is better? See what happened since then. Palestinian society completely disintegrated. These Gaza, West Bank fractions, they are so fractioned today. They are so basically unhappy. And Israel made a lot of mistakes throughout the process. But the fundamental negotiation idea that Israel twice in the last decade offered the Palestinians a deal. You know, it's not a good deal. They don't trust, but it is a deal that Ben-Gurion in 48 took and accepted. And we built a great country. I trust the Palestinians that they could have built their own state. They are smart, talented, motivated, both in Gaza and in the West Bank. You know, IT, high-tech is flourishing in Ramallah. They built a huge, beautiful town, Rawabi, in the West Bank. They're extremely capable. So I think it is a leadership, leadership failure that was not backed by the Palestinian people to say, yes, we take it. And now, actually, what the leadership brought them is they brought them despair, no hope, continuation of the settlement activities in Israel due to some ideologies, and checkpoints. So the Palestinians continue this international campaign. And today they passed a resolution to fly a flag, non-state members' flag in the UN. Well done. Is this your victory, my fellow Palestinians? To flying a flag in New York instead of having your own state? You had two Israeli prime ministers that offered you to establish your own nation state. And you said, instead of saying it, put it in my pocket, I have it, let's do higher work. I called it in a process analysis I did post-Camp David, internal document, I called it statehood anxiety. The Palestinians are people that, according to their narrative, their history, they were deprived of many rights. And I can understand that. I can understand the Nakba, the 1948 catastrophe. I can understand, as a Jew, I can understand the refugee narrative. I can understand the victim mentality. But as an Israeli, who was part of building a country out of nothing, out of conflict, I really would like to grab my Palestinian friend and said, take it. In negotiation, take it. Don't throw it. Don't go to an alternative when your alternative is not better. But they continue to do it. So my question is, what is better in the current reality than to say yes to 2000? And you might say, 2000 was not ripe, reality was not ripe, Barak's proposal was not ripe, but we corrected it. We learned the lesson in 2008. Tzipi Livni, Ehud Olmert put a comprehensive deal on the table, and they still said no. We are now in a stalemate. One of the leading negotiation scholars, Professor Bill Zartman, whom I really admire and appreciate his work. I worked with him since 2000. Some of the concept developed, and he coined a great term. He called it S5 to describe our unique situation. What is S5? S5 is a soft, stable, self-sustained stalemate. Unfortunately, this is where we are. It's soft, stable, self-sustained stalemate. It is a stalemate Because I don't see in the foreseeable future any Israeli or Palestinian leadership that will be able to change that reality. Stable. It's stable because the forces, the dynamic, the social forces that actually have a critical role in this conflict are stable. It is the Hamas, it is the Israel right wing, the settlement movement, the Israeli left. There's nothing internal that would emerge and change this. And it is self-sustained because Israel will continue the settlement activity. The Palestinians will continue to cry and to do this political campaigns. So we're stuck.